At the end of a meal at a restaurant, you're presented with a bill, and most of the time you accept that the total sum is right because it's roughly in line with what you were expecting. And you trust that the calculation done elsewhere, done off stage, has been done correctly. But if the total bill is much larger than you were expecting, then you can look through the itemized receipt and work out where the discrepancy might lie. And if you think there is something wrong with the bill, you'd ask the waiter over, and together you'd check through the list of items and their prices, and you'd go through the maths together. You'd bring the calculation on stage, and by doing so, most of the time, any error or misunderstanding with the bill will be resolved by looking at it in detail together. I think this distinction between on-stage versus off-stage reasoning is a useful way to understand what's going on with some kinds of public disagreements. And in this video, I'm going to explore this distinction and show why, unfortunately, many of the issues that we care about most passionately can never be brought on stage. If I tell you that the title of the first chapter of the first Harry Potter novel is The Boy Who Lived, and you doubt this fact, I can pick up my copy of the book and show you the first chapter's title. And now, you don't have to trust my word for it. You can see the title for yourself. And if you don't believe that blue paint mixed together with yellow paint will make green paint, then we can do it in front of each other and see for ourselves what happens. When it's possible to do it, bringing things on stage is a powerful way to explore an issue together without one person having to simply trust the word of the other. Obviously, bringing things on stage in this way can't get away from hard skepticism, but I'll address that in another video. But bringing things on stage can remove the grounds for everyday skepticism and basic doubt about certain kinds of facts. For example, I've brought on stage a simple calculation of the restaurant bill, a simple fact about a well-known text, and a simple physical phenomenon. But unfortunately, many of the issues that we care about cannot be brought on stage in this way. For example, this children's book is about some dinosaurs, whereas this one is about dragons. That I can bring these books on stage does not help resolve the off-stage claims being made or suggested by each of the books. So it would be perfectly reasonable for a young child to be confident that dragons really did exist. Their parents might then tell them that, no, dinosaurs were real, but dragons are made up. And the child may well believe their parents. But then again, some of those parents have also told them that Father Christmas comes down the chimney once a year. When ideas are off stage, trust becomes a crucial part of the story. And in some sense, there is a similar story to be told with adults reading about, say, particle physics or religion or climate change. In the case of dragons and dinosaurs, older children and adults have the advantage of seeing that dragons exist almost exclusively in books that declare themselves as fiction, whereas dinosaurs also appear in a lot of non-fiction books about our world. So these are strong cues as to which kind of creature was real and which is fictional. But for many important issues, there are conflicting views all being expressed in non-fiction form. For example, if we were in a discussion about how seriously to take climate change, we might each bring to the discussion ideas from one of these two books. One describes a desolate future for humanity unless we act fast now. The other argues that such apocalyptic visions of the near future are overplayed and there are other, more pressing issues to act on now. But again, that we can bring the books on stage does not mean that we can bring any of these books' claims on stage.
Each book has a long list of notes and references to scientific papers and opinions expressed by experts. And some of these studies will have involved years of work with teams of people in faraway places using expensive and large equipment. So for complex topics like climate change, it is simply not possible to bring fully on stage all of the phenomena being studied off stage by all of the scientists and experts involved. But note that there's no dispute between these books about whether or not science is a useful methodology. Each book includes many lines of reasoning that refer to offstage observations, theories, and conclusions published by scientists. However, one crucial area that there is dispute about is which scientists and experts to believe and which to dismiss. Each book effectively encourages us to trust or distrust the perspectives put forward by different groups of experts. And, not being experts ourselves in the details of the areas being discussed, we often have little basis of our own to independently assess which of the experts we think we should be listening to. But we already trust a few voices who then suggest that we should also trust these other experts and be suspicious of those experts. We thereby end up with a network of trust that often grows out from a handful of news channels or organizations or communities of thinkers that we already deeply trust. But as we all start off from different places, we each end up with a slightly different network of trust. Of course, there are other things beyond just trust going on here. For example, as we are most likely to accept arguments that simply sound right to us, so these networks of trust will likely coalesce around groups of people who share a similar way of understanding and reasoning about the world, what I call a shared dialect of reason. But trust is the crucial ingredient that enables us to believe the word of another. And it is our network of trusted voices that is likely to recommend to us interesting books to read, whose content and authors they deem worth listening to.
To be clear, I'm not suggesting that we shouldn't trust experts or build up these networks of voices that we do trust. Quite the reverse. I think these networks of trust are essential for us to understand our complex world. And so, I rather think we need to find ways to build more trust within our societies and to build more trust between different communities of thinkers. And I'll be talking about this more in other videos. The point I'm making here is that I think it's useful for us to understand the onstage versus offstage distinction so that we can recognize which issues have to remain offstage for one reason or another, as these will be the issues where our networks of trust become so important in shaping our opinions. So if you find yourself passionately disagreeing with someone about a subject that is clearly offstage, maybe it is worth spending a little bit of time exploring together why you each trust such different data and different experts on the matter. Maybe this will help us all be a little bit more aware of which ideas we authentically understand in depth ourselves, and which we mostly understand as received wisdom from our offstage network of trusted sources. And in turn, this might help us be a little more open to listen to and discuss alternative viewpoints. After all, none of us want to be the person who is still earnestly questing after dragons. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please do share it on social media and click on the like button below or subscribe to my channel, as that will encourage YouTube to share this video more widely. And what do you think about this distinction between onstage and offstage reasoning? Please do leave comments below. And thank you for watching.